Hi everyone, this is Hans, and I promised a ZitaFTP Server update, so here it is. First up, there should be a release of ZitaFTP Server for AmigaOS coming out later this week. It's going to have a few bug fixes and an update to AmiSSL 4.5, which is the latest version. Going beyond that, I have been hard at work on the configuration GUI. Which I said was going to be web-based, and two big reasons for that. First, being web-based, it will work on any computer with a web browser, and the other thing is it's a server application. And it kind of makes sense that if you use a web GUI, it opens up the possibility of remote administration if you want it. So, sounds all well and good, but then when you come to implement it, you start dealing with issues. Specifically, these are cross-platform issues, writing cross-platform software issues, in particular for the Amiga and our aging web browsers. So the best browser we have on the Amiga is Odyssey, which is using a version of WebKit from 2013, I think, is what the current version is. So when I decided I'm going to get a ready-made theme and use that for the configuration GUI. Basically, I don't want to be learning HTML and CSS in detail myself and then manually creating a theme. Let's just take advantage of somebody else's work, which sounded great, but then I started looking at what should I use, and I discovered, the limitations. So this website is made with a framework called Vue.js, and if we look on Windows, this is what it's supposed to look like. So Vue.js, if you don't know what it is, it's a JavaScript framework which can be used for both server-side and client-side. Client-side rendering, which means client-side means rendered by the web browser's JavaScript. And as you can see, the only part of the page that worked is the static background image. So the bit that doesn't rely on the framework. So it doesn't work. I discovered very quickly that anything that uses Bootstrap version 4 has layout and usability issues for us. So I eventually found a Bootstrap 3 theme that I thought would work well. Paid the developers a little bit to give me the rights to use it. And that bit's done. But then we move on to the next problem, which is the server-side web framework. Basically, to have a web GUI, you need to have an HTML server that's connected to they usually call it business logic. Anyway, connected to the server side of the app. And my original plan was I will get a ready-made one and I will put it in the app, and that will save me a lot of time. Which sounded great, but then I started going through the options. So there was Witty. Actually, no, but before that, I had a look at CPP CMS, which I couldn't even compile on Windows, and I was having a bit too much trouble with that. I thought, it's not worth the bother. So let's move on. Then Witty, which is a lot bigger than I wanted. I was looking for something compact and small. But anyway, it looked promising, even though it was oversized, but it uses Boost ASIO. And on the Amiga, we don't have that. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to persuade anybody to actually port it. I'm not very good at porting software myself, and I don't have the funds to be more persuasive. As in, I don't have the funds to pay somebody to do it. So that one's out. I had a look at others like Pistache and Core. I actually quite like Core. I think if I were writing a web app, I would probably try that one out. Anyway, the problem with those two is they are both designed around ePOL or KQ, whereas we don't have that. And it's not too easy to switch from ePOL or KQ to select, and select is like an older function that is pretty much universal. The Amiga uses it, Windows has something very similar. But of course, ePOL and KQ work better, so they've decided to go for that, which instantly makes it Linux or BSD or anything related to those only. So those were out too, which means I had only one other option, and that was to write it myself. And this, I guess this is the web equivalent of writing your own game engine before you start writing the game. Instead of just getting a ready off-the-shelf engine like Unity. Either way, that's what I've ended up doing. That's what I've been working on. And I have got as far as getting the basic HTTP server working. I was hoping to get to the point where static file downloading worked properly so that I could use the theme that I'd bought to show you a pretty 404 page not found error page, but with all the other things I've been working on, it's not here yet, and I didn't want to keep delaying this video. So this is as far as I've got. Once I have this up and running, then I can start on the actual configuration GUI code. So that's where it is currently. I am pleased to say I have managed to borrow a little bit of code from other people. There's an HTTP parser that I have used, and I will be using a Mustache templating engine, which will save me from writing that code. So it's not a complete write from scratch, but it has been more work than I had hoped. Anyway, that's where it is right now. I guess some of this is a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I have, for example, having an older web browser has prevented me from using some of the latest fancy JavaScript frameworks, which I actually think is a good thing. They tend to slow down websites and make them less reliable because you have to download hundreds of kilobytes of JavaScript before they actually work. So that's where I am now. Hopefully the next time I have a bigger update, I'll be able to show you the beginnings of the configuration GUI, which has been a long time coming. Until then, hope all is well with you, and see you later.